If it's your first time building your first PC, here's some tips. Number one, and probably the most important one, is buy a high-end motherboard. If you consider all the factors, the motherboard, where all the parts go into, has to be a high-end, because if you think about it, you won't be able to upgrade that part. You can upgrade your RAM, your graphics card, your CPU, but not your motherboard. So get a high-end motherboard for sure. I honestly recommend MSI motherboards. Out of all of the ones I've tested, MSI I think is the best. Not only for performance, but less bugs and easier BIOS upgrade. And probably you could go with the Godlike or maybe the Meg, and if it's too much, maybe go with the Carvin or the one I got right here, the Edge, which is pretty good, not too bad. After you choose your motherboard, just go to PC Part Picker and just literally add your motherboard into the list, and it'll give you a bunch of options of what type of CPUs you can add to that specific motherboard, what type of RAM you could go with, and depending on your budget. For RAM, I would recommend going with 62 gigabytes of RAM. Just make sure it's 3200 megahertz. If you can go 32 gigabytes of RAM, that's fine. And for the CPU, I highly recommend Intel, specifically a 12th gen Intel, and honestly an i5 should be good enough for any type of games or editing or whatever. And for the graphics card, just literally go for what you can afford. It really depends on your budget. If you can go with a 3080, it should be more than enough. A 3090 I think is just overpowered. 3090, you're just not gonna be using all that for gaming or editing or for whatever, especially if it's your first build. And if you can afford a 3080, definitely go for the newest version of graphics cards, and they're more optimized even if it's a 3050 or 3060 rather than going for a 2080. But yeah, I hope it helps, and follow for more.